Welcome back to the Chronicle, the official film podcast of the People's Movies. My name is Paul. I am your host. I'm obviously the editor of the People's Movies, and I welcome you to episode 41. And if you love movies, you're in the right place. As ever for every episode, it's Clotilde Tinichi. And how are you, Clotilde?
Good, how are you?
I am good. I have an apology for you to give to you. If anyone's listened to the last episode, episode 40, which is still available, I cut you off before we done the ending. I
Oh,
do
I didn't even
apologise for that.
know.
Yeah, yeah. So I just done the ending as well. I just done it for myself, so apologies. But the main thing is you're here, Clotilde. For this is going to be, even though it's episode 41, we're going to do a special certain award ceremony. It's happening in London at the weekend, but also
Mhm.
there's a few weeks after that. There's the big one happening in LA. So it's the BAFTAs and the Oscars special. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to do a BAFTA and Oscar special. This is episode 41 of the Chronicle. This is a BAFTA Oscar special. We're just going to go through, have a wee look at the nominees, maybe do a little mini review, share our thoughts. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of films that we've reviewed on here, on People's Movies or here on the Chronicle. What I'll do is just down below, I'll add all the links so you can go and have a look, listen to the reviews or read that review. Clotilde, should we go straight into the heart of it and go for the best picture?
I
So,
think so.
yeah. For this one, we're not going to do them two separate like we did last year. We're just going to, it's going to cross over. So the BAFTAs are happening on Sunday, and the Oscars are happening on March the 2nd, Sunday, March the 2nd. But for us, it runs into Monday the 3rd because of the timings. So the best films are Anora with Sean Baker. We've got The Brutalist, which is Brady Corbet. You've got The Complete Unknown, which is James Mangold. You've got Berger film or Conclave, and you've got Amelia Perez. Let's just have a little check on the Oscars in case there's any movies that we've not mentioned yet. There's plenty more. So over the
Yeah.
Oscars, you've got the Anora, The Brutalist, Complete Unknown, Conclave, and Amelia Perez. But they also have June Part 2. They've got the Nickel Boys, The Substance, Wicked, and I Am Still Here. Both of us, we've reviewed Anora. Is there any little quick thoughts you want to share on that Anora? Do you think it'll win the Best
Yes.
Picture?
Yes, I think so. It's been doing really well. All award season from Cannes, very, very beginning with Cannes, it won the Palme d'Or. And, I initially thought it might lose momentum, especially because Venice was such a good festival. So many of the Oscar nomination films are from Venice, if you think about it. But it didn't. It's winning, left and right. I think he won the Critics' Choice most recently in won the People's Choice Award. Like it seems to have like all the odds on its side. Having that said, I don't necessarily think it's the best film of the bunch. Will I
Yeah.
be happy if it's won? Sure. I think Sean Baker has never won an Oscar, if I'm not mistaken, and he does definitely deserve the recognition. Um, it's looking really good, I think, for Honora, especially. I don't know if I should mention it already, but why not? There's been a lot going on, I think, during this last few weeks of the Oscar campaign, or even last week of award season in general,
Yeah.
that I think is gonna negatively affect some of the films, especially Emilia Perez. I know, like, obviously some of this doesn't necessarily reflect on the quality of the film, but the fact that the main actress for Emilia Perez has been involved in such a public scandal that has upset a lot of people does not make the film have a lot of chances, if we're being honest, especially because this happened, I want to say, a week and a half ago. Oscar voting started this week. It's very much fresh in everybody's mind, I think, as they vote. So I think it affected naturally the chances of specifically Emilia Perez. And there's been the whole AI controversy on the Brutalist, A Complete
Yeah.
Unknown, Emilia Perez as well, unless I'm mistaken. So it's there's a lot going on, and whatever like your opinion, especially on AI, is it cannot be denied how much it's going to affect the voting, especially for the Oscars because they just started the voting for the awards,
Yeah.
and that's why I think Honora has even more chances because it's sort of like the least problematic one right now. Although there are some problematic things. I think they've spoken about not having intimacy coordinators, which it's a big discussion in the industry. I don't think it's sitting well with a lot of people,
Yeah.
but we'll see.
Do you think Anora will win in both BAFTAs or Oscars? What I have seen before is, I know they say a lot, if a film or an actor and an actress or whatever the nominees are for any other awards, if they win at the BAFTAs, they've got a good, they're being more than likely will win
Yeah.
them at the Oscars. However, I remember one year, I can't remember what year it was, one of the films won all the BAFTAs. The Oscars was a complete different. There might have been a year when we were going through this sort of COVID, the pandemic and that. It might have been during then where it was completely different movies.
Yeah.
Anora, also, I wasn't the biggest fan of the movie. I found it quite, as in for the sort of female perspective of the character, I thought it was quite brutal. However, I appreciated what Sean Baker got someone in who lived the life of Anora, Mikey Madsen's character, working in this sort of a sex worker, which she was a dancer. She was an exotic dancer, What we'll do is we'll just say a few things about them, and then we'll go at the end and go how we think they'll do in both of them. The Brutalists, I've now actually seen. It definitely coming with a big reputation. Is it? It's obviously it's a 3.5 hour film. I was meant to go and watch Companion before it, early in the morning, and then at 12 o'clock I went in to watch The Brutalists, and I get out about 4:30. I could not believe it. It was actually people still walking in to see this movie about 45 minutes into the movie. It was that type of movie you weren't missing much, but that's not necessarily a negative towards the movie because it's a very slow-moving movie, and it comes with an intermission. Quite an unusual. What I liked about The Brutalist was I'm a graphic designer. I trained to be a graphic designer in Manchester in Salford University, and Bauhaus is when you do art and design, it's a big school. It's not just for architecture where Adrian Brody's character was Laszlo Toth, actually trained to be an architect, but it was also the design, it was art, it was a lot of stuff. It's got a very distinctive style, and I liked how the credits, the opening credits and then the end credits played. And then they had little title cards in between each. I think it was 3 acts they played it as. And I really liked that sort of visual style. It played into the style of brutalism. As in the questions I asked you in the best episode of the Chronicle, is it about architecture? No, it isn't. It isn't just about architecture. I think it's more about the period that the film is actually set in. And as you said as well, I remember you saying it can be seen as quite political, as in the sense of what's happening around the world with immigration and a lot of the discrimination that a lot of people who actually come from another country are getting from the people who live there. You don't need me to go through it because a lot is disgusting that these people go through. Did it need to be 3.5 hours? I think it could have been cut down. I don't know. Do you think it should have been 3.5 hours long?
I actually think so. I felt like there was no sort of extra moment. I felt like everything was perfect as it was. I think the intermission helped a lot with that because I am so much in favor of intermissions, and I think it helped me sort of like go through the runtime without feeling it too much.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me it was.
It was also done in what they call Vista screen, I think it was called.
Yeah.
That was before, was it the Cinecolor? It was, when you see it, the tone of the colour is very, very different. I should really know about these because obviously I've mentioned before, I'm an amateur photographer. This is some of the sort of tones of the colours that we should know when we're doing photography and how we get the lens set up to get certain things. It is gorgeously, beautifully looking film. But at the same time, it plays into brutal sort of tone of the film. It's a hard film, and you actually feel the pain of the characters, especially Laszlo. It also plays into the era as well. And I liked how when you meet Laszlo, You don't know. It's very chaotic. You're hearing alarm, sirens going off. It's very dark. People are going everywhere. It's chaotic, and then you suddenly look outside and you see the Statue of Liberty upside down.
Mhm.
I don't really understand that. I probably do. I probably didn't do my notes. I'm saying there's quite a lot of films do that where they play everything upside down, especially down in horror films. They've done it in Smile, where you see the skyline of, I think it's New York, and it's upside down as well, and then it obviously starts to turn around, and then you get to see the dark side of humanity, the way they're speaking to the people who's just arrived at Staten Island, and then he's into the area where it's the prostitutes, and something happens there. I'm not going to say any more than that. He's his cousin, his Hungarian cousin, who just sounds like somebody who's just walked out The Godfather. Is it Alessandro Nivola, I think the guy's name is? And he
I
goes
think
there.
so.
Yeah, yeah. He just sounds like a proper New Yorker. And the story just goes on, and you get to see how things go. Yeah, I liked it. I didn't like it as much as it. Is it a masterpiece? I don't need to let you know, folks, if what I think of masterpieces and what they need to do that. It's very solid, but it's two halves. The second half of the film is very dark, very tone wise. There's a lot of very uncomfortable things happen, but it was deliberately, I think, made uncomfortable, so you can really feel the pain as well. So that was the Brutalist. Is there anything you want to add to that, to the Brutalist?
I just really liked it. I
Yeah,
think I've said it before, that was my favorite film of last year. I
yeah,
think obviously like I watched it at Venice, like before the war premieres, it was a very different situation in the sense that there was like no expectation on the film, and it did feel like something you couldn't predict, if that makes sense. It did feel
yeah,
very fresh, very new. I also watched it in 70 millimeters. It's in a huge screen in a very, I think, the biggest theater in Venice. So I think that all adds to the experience and the reason why
yeah,
I liked it so much. But yeah, I'd be happy if the Brutalists won anything, if I'm being honest. I, I'm part of some critics organizations, and my ballots this year have been really boring because I keep being like, the Brutalist Conclave, the Brutalist Conclave, and it's pretty much just so too. So,
yeah,
um,
yeah. So let's have a look at other movies. I'm still in the Oscars, so you've got Dune Part Two. You know, we reviewed it earlier in the year in 2024. As if I can remember rightly, I liked it more than you. And Amira Perez, I said something to you just before we recorded. Has there ever been a time, I say, in the history of the awards season, or even in general, where you've seen a film, I loved that film, or the opposite, excuse me, I really didn't like it, but I'm going to watch it again, and
mhm.
you come out with the opposite reaction. Obviously, you mentioned a few earlier about the controversy with the lead actress. Was it tweets or something she made a long time ago about certain things, and it's coming
Yeah.
back to haunt her. Amelia Perez, I think you were, I think you didn't hate it, but I think you liked it
I
just
actually
slightly
liked it a
better.
lot more than anyone else.
Yeah, you liked it better than me, but
Yeah.
I more and more I see this, and it's the same with Wicked, and I mentioned that in a previous episode. I'm not liking them as much now.
I
N- Nothing to do.
do have
Not
to say, I mean, I really like Wicked, and I do like the Emilia Paris, but having said that, there is no reason for me why
yeah,
films like Wicked, Emilia Perez, and even Dune Part 2 should be in the best picture conversation,
yeah.
given what else we have, or even a complete unknown. I didn't realize that. But why are they in the same conversation as films like Conclave, The Brutalist, Nickel Boys, or
Yeah.
Anora? That is, even as somebody who likes these films, that is, I think, absolutely weird.
There's another one that we have mentioned. Have you seen I Am Still Here?
Yes, I love that film. That's another one I've seen in Venice, and I feel like I've been campaigning for it ever since I saw it. I remember when it was announced for London, I thought everyone I knew, I was like, you have to see it. Because I think, especially as a film that's not in the English language,
Yeah.
it's really hard to get the support to get people to watch it. It's not as easy, and we know how much the Oscars and the BAFTAs are sort of biased against, not biased, but like they don't tend to include as many non-English language films in the in the other categories.
Yeah.
So I think it's a massive achievement that I'm Still Here was nominated for 3 Oscars, two of which are not the non-English language category.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful film. It deserves all the attention, all the awards. I'm really happy with how it's doing
Yeah.
because I think it would have could have easily been a film that remains, a success in Brazil because it tells the story of the country, very specific to the country in Portuguese. But I'm so happy to see that, you know, I think, like Bong Joon-ho said when he won for Parasite, is if you just go beyond the 1 inch tall barrier of subtitles, there's a whole new world. And I think that is so
Exactly.
true. And I'm happy to see, that that is actually happening slowly, but it is happening. And I'm Still Here really deserves all the attention. I think it's coming out tomorrow, actually. So on the 14th of February, if I'm not
Ah,
mistaken,
so it's a
in the
week earlier
UK.
now. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's beautiful and it's, even if you're not familiar with the historical side of it that is portraying, I think it can teach you a lot, not in a sort of educational way, but I think it's mind blowing what you see in the film if you don't know the history behind it and you realize that it's actually based on a very much real story because the book is based on its own autobiography. So yeah, I can't say enough about how much I like this film. It was definitely, I think, one of my favorites of the last year. Like in my top 5 for sure.
Yeah. What I haven't seen it, so I just nearly knocked the mic over there. I mean, I was listening to people reviewing it, and someone brought up a point. See, when this is set in 1970s in Brazil, fascism basically was ruling
Yeah.
roost. And anytime you look back in anything with fascism, it's always going to be Germany, it's always going to be Italy. So it's good
Uh,
to see that there's more than the two countries which fascism affected it. And obviously, you'll know better than me that it plays and it's a pivotal part of the story how the lead character how it creates her and what things that happen in it, how she portrays
sure.
herself and doing things and that. It's done by a director
Yeah.
called Walter Sales, and people will might know him for two other films. I believe it's the Motorcycle Diaries. On the Road. On the Road was an English language film, and I believe that was his last film that he made nearly 13 years ago. That was
And
the one with Christian
actually,
Stewart.
the last time Brazil was nominated for an Oscar for, foreign language film was a Walter Salles film. It was Foreign Land, I want to say.
Yeah,
No, it was Central Station, sorry. But that is
yeah,
the last time Brazil was ever nominated, and it was his film, which I think is it's quite interesting.
yeah. It's yeah. It sounds very good. You've sold it to me, so I'll definitely have a look. Unfortunately,
I'm
I won't
glad,
be watching
especially
this
do that with a
weekend.
lot of people.
In World Cinema Movies, even though it does have a UK date, you might have to look around your local listings. But also, I've not if you're a cinephile, you know a lot of world cinema movies get scattered releases. So even though it's out on the 14th or the 21st, your local independent cinema, your local cinema might not get it to April or March. So just be
Yeah.
aware of that. I believe it's Altitude Films that are releasing it. So yep, it's still down as the 21st, but as you said, dates do change. So have a look at your listings for that. And let's have a little look. Obviously, I'm still here. I've never seen the Nickel Boys, and people are praising the Nickel Boys. And have you
Um,
seen it? Have you seen
yeah,
the
I
Nickel?
saw it. It's,
What?
I think it's first of all a very important story that I think a lot of us didn't know about before watching the film.
Yeah,
Second of all, the way it's told is brilliant. I mean, it's really hard to watch. Um, it's a very intense film, but it's also like packed. And I don't think it's an easy watch at all. But I think it's to me a bit like the Brutalist. It's the way they use the cinematic form to create something new is a pleasure to watch. I think in terms of like technique, right, and shots and the technical part of it, I think there's very little innovation today in the sense that yes, we do have good technology and that's where the innovation is. But when is the last time something like Citizen Kane happened? You know what I mean? Like the innovation of like the form itself is very rare. And I think this year we've been lucky because both the Brutalist to me and Nickel Boys use something that we know in cinema language in such a new way. The Nickel Boys uses a lot of archival footage and it's brilliant how they do that. And that is why I think they deserve a nomination in this category.
Before I mention one other movie, because you were sort of done the last movie was Wicked. On the BAFTAs, there's one film on here that isn't on the best films of the Oscars. Is James Mangold's A Completely Unknown with Timothy Chalamet. Have you seen it?
I have to say, from this list, like both Oscars and BAFTAs, whatever, like from the whole of the films we mentioned, I think it's my least favorite. I
Yeah,
just, I mean, I think he's great. The acting is great. Al Fanning, I think, is brilliant in it, but I just didn't like it. I thought, I mean, it's a biopic. Biopics are, I think, really hard to be interesting.
yeah,
And I don't know, I kept asking myself, why do I care about any of this? Like, to me, there is no beginning and end. Like, this is life, right? That's what a biopic is, but there has to be a story within it. And personally, I didn't feel like a complete unknown had it. It just felt like a bunch of things just to tell this person's life, which is, all well and good. But from a purely writing point of view, I didn't feel the stakes. I didn't care about any of it. It's well made, I have to say that.
yeah.
And the songs are really, it's interesting to see how he comes to the songs and to the songwriting. And I know Timothy Chalamet sang live and played live as well, but there is not much to it. I think it's easily forgettable, and it's definitely my least favorite of the whole bunch.
Yeah. It's I get some enjoyment out of it. Do you need to be a Bob Dylan fan to understand it? Not necessarily. I had a flatmate who was a massive Bob Dylan fan, and he liked to play his music quite a lot. And any time he played it, he used to give me some interesting facts and that, which was much appreciated. Obviously, James Mangold is no stranger to music biopics. He obviously did Walk the Line, Johnny Cash, which was fantastic. That was with Joaquin Phoenix. As in Timothy Chalamet as Bob Dylan, it's when I watched it, it goes back to when we reviewed the Sebastian Stan film, the Donald Trump movie,
Hmm.
where it borderlines is an impression. He's making an impression of Bob Dylan, like Sebastian Stan, I know for Donald Trump. This is a little bit like that as well. As he's not necessarily, he might have the look type thing, the look. He's not necessarily sounds like him. I believe Timothy Chalamet actually did sing, and he doesn't really
Yeah,
sound like him either. But it's not the point. And the one thing I did like about it, because see, when people make biopics, they try and fit too much into 2 hours. I think this was about 2 and a bit hours. I liked how they actually just concentrated on the one part of the movie, how Bob Dylan became who he is. I liked how they showed he was a talented guy, but he was also, without trying to swear, he was not a nice person as well. And he admitted it himself, you know. I liked, as you said, about Ellie Fanning. I think she was based on a real life person. Forgive me the first name of the lady, but the surname is Rotolo. And it was Bob Dylan that actually asked not to change her name. So she's an influence that is Bob Dylan's sort of first love. And I like to sort of John Baez as well. Johnny Cash is in there as well. So that
yeah,
was
he's great.
good as well. And do you know that obviously when Bob Dylan went electric, it was to they did it all at the Newport County Jazz Festival. uh, which is somebody shouts out when the final part. It comes with electric guitar. Somebody shouts out Judas. Are you aware that didn't actually happen in that place? It actually happened in Manchester, England. So when Bob Dylan came to Manchester, he started playing electric and somebody shouted it, Judas! But I can understand why they'd done it because quite an important part at the time and how people were reacting. Because obviously, but as we see through the film, Bob Dylan's playing the acoustic guitar and then suddenly decides to introduce electric guitar. And the thing was, this was some of his, like Rolling Stone, that's one of his most famous songs. And to a lot of people, this is some of his best songs. But no one, jazz was so slow and it was very acoustic. People, it was amazing how people weren't accepting this as well. Yeah, I did actually like it to a certain extent. I like, but as you said, there's a lot in it. It was, yeah, it was a bit meh. Is it going to win anything? As in the best film, probably not.
Probably
As
not.
in probably the actors, as in Timothy Chalamet, I believe he is one of the favourites to win the best male actor award. We'll talk about that when it happens. As in the last film on the best picture in the Oscars, have you seen The Substance and did you like it if you did?
I have, and I did. I feel like I didn't like it as much as anyone else. I liked it. I thought it was cool. I didn't think it was like super groundbreaking. It
No.
does some really good stuff. It's a really good commentary. Diamond was fantastic.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I don't like the horror genre, so of course I
Yeah.
wasn't gonna love it. But it's a really good film, and I'm glad it's getting the recognition it deserves
Yeah.
because that was another one that I wasn't sure was gonna be sort of like big with the Academy. It's sort of calling out Hollywood, I think, and the way
Yeah.
women have to be young and beautiful. And I'm glad that it's getting attention because even if I don't love the film, I do think that the themes it touches on are extremely
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, I think yeah, it's great to see horror finally getting a noticed by the Oscars because
Yeah,
there's been many
yeah,
times when there's an actress and an actor or a film should have been at least nominated. I'm wondering, are they just playing for the fans and says, well, right, we nominated a horror film. Yeah, it didn't win, type thing. Demi Moore's
yeah,
fantastic in it. You're correct. It's all about getting older. You can sort of tie into Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy, which we're actually going to do as a take two to come with this. That'll be a bit over the weekend type thing, where it's the characters are older. It's sort of play that sort of plays into the. I haven't seen it. Have you seen Baby Girl?
I have. I actually was a bit disappointed in it.
Yeah,
I didn't hate it. I think I went into it expecting a lot more or maybe something different.
yeah,
I didn't think it was as sort of like innovative and groundbreaking as it wanted to be.
yeah,
It's fun. It's just a lot of the
yeah,
times I felt like people in the audience, me including, were laughing at the film rather than with the film.
yeah.
There was a bit of a tonal mismatch there for me. Yeah, I mean, it's weird because Nicole Kidman won an award in Venice. I don't necessarily think Baby Girl is a film that should be in the award conversation at all. It's a good film. It's a bit there, right?
Overall, of the BAFTAs, which film do you think will win the best film?
I think Conclave. Like, if I had to guess right now, I would say Conclave. And that's
Conclave.
gonna, if it happens, or I know, right, but I think Conclave is a really good shot. If it happens, it might change a lot for the Oscars Best Picture race as well.
Yeah, I would like Conclave to win the BAFTA,
There is a
and
bit battle.
yeah, and I think Anora's going to do well. It's going to
Yeah,
be Anora or the Brutalist at the best picture in the Oscars.
you
So
think?
yeah, yeah. So best actress, we'll go into that. In the Oscars, it's Cynthia Erivo for Wicked, Carla Sofia Garson, I Can Hear the Boos, Perez for Emilia Perez, Mikey Madsen for Anora, Demi Moore for The Substance, and Fernanda Torres for I Am Still Here. Let's have a little look at the BAFTAs and let's just see. There's something I forgot to do at the BAFTAs. We'll do that after the actress. The actress in here, let's leading actress. Yeah, Cynthia Erivo, Wicked, Carla Gasson. There's Marianne Jean-Baptiste for Hard Truths, and Saoirse Ronan are also in it, the BAFTAs. Let's see. How about Cynthia Erivo? As I mentioned earlier there about films where when I first saw it, I said, oh, I really liked it, and then I saw it again, I went, no, it's not really. Cynthia Erivo is probably one of the best things about Wicked. Wicked in it. She's very good. She is more of a stage actor than a film actor. She's very good. She you feel really genuine in it. You know, you can see is in it. I think it's all down to, do you actually like the film? What do you think about Cynthia Erivo?
I honestly didn't think she was gonna get nominated. I honestly, as much as I love her, as much as I love the film, don't think it's an Oscar worthy performance this year when there were so many very, very powerful performances by female actors in a leading role. I am appalled at the fact that Angelina Jolie didn't get a nomination for Maria. I do not understand why. I just don't understand.
Yeah,
I think, however, I have to say it's very good to see that, as you mentioned about the sort of bias that the Academy has against horrors. I think it's the same with musicals. The
yeah.
fact that in the Best Actress category we have two musicals and one horror is very impressive. However, that's not the nominee I would have gone with.
I think it's either going to be Mikey Madsen and Nora because of the buzz when it
What do
came.
you think?
It's either going to be her or Demi Moore. I actually think it
I
could
think
be Demi.
so.
Yeah,
Either Demi Moore or Michael Keaton, for sure. Not Carlos Silverstone, I think that's quite
yeah, I think she's
he's off.
digged her grave
Yeah.
and
And even Netflix sort of like dropped her award campaign really, so
yeah, yeah, she's probably going to be find it hard to actually get jobs to do now. So,
for
film
sure.
job, yeah, and that. As in, let's just see, over and obviously in the BAFTAs we have Marianne Jean Baptiste and Hard
She's
Truths.
brilliant.
I haven't seen Hard Truths, but I
Very
remember
good.
you loved it. And
Yeah,
I've heard people say it's probably Mike Lee's best film to date since
I think so.
the one that Marianne Jean Baptiste did back in the 90s. I forget the name of the movie. It's got Timothy Spall in it. Some of them say that's the best film since then. The Outrun, I haven't seen it, but Saoirse Ronan is always very good in whatever movie she actually appears in. Is she's good enough to be the lead actress? I don't really know. However, this is the BAFTAs, and I know the BAFTAs always like to go for British and Irish actors, which could be good for Wicked, because Cynthia Erivo
Oh,
is an English actress, British actress. But I think it's Mikey Madsen or Demi Moore.
I think so too. She's winning a lot.
Yeah. So let's just have a wee look in there. Is there anything else you want to say for the best actress?
Just that I'm really happy to see Fernando Torres for I'm Still
Yeah,
Here. Like I said, ever since I saw it in Venice, I've been like praying that this film gets in. And to see again like a non-English language performance in such a big category is an achievement like in of itself. I never thought it would happen as much as like I genuinely think she deserves the nomination and perhaps the award. I think it's a brilliant performance. Very layered as well.
yeah.
I just I used to make that joke. I was like, oh, if it happens, like I'll be so happy. Like it's never gonna happen. And I'm really happy that she earned that spot and she was recognized for all her work. I don't think she's gonna win, unfortunately,
Yeah.
but I think for a film like I'm Still Here, the fact that she's nominated it is massive.
As in myself, I've lost the track there. I've got a funny feeling. More and more you're talking, and more when I'm thinking about it, I would not at all be surprised that I'm Still Here could do a Parasite as in the awards and
I thought
surprise
about that too,
everyone.
actually. I would be
Yeah,
so happy.
and
I
it's just
thought about it because if you think about it, the last time a like truly non-English film was nominated as best foreign film and best, picture, and in the major categories, it was Parasite, and it's sweet. So
right. We missed something. It's my fault. But obviously the BAFTAs as the best film, but also has the best outstanding British film. We've got quite a few on here. Some I believe
it
you've
is quite
seen.
a few.
Bird, Andrea Arnold's film. We have Blitz, Steve McQueen's film, which is just Sacha Ronan again. Conclave. I'm surprised that was done as a British film because obviously I believe the director's either Austrian or German, but also there's a mix.
Really?
Edward Berger, he did All Quiet in the Western Front, no, the one that won the.
Right, yeah.
He already won all the awards in 2022, I believe. I haven't seen that yet, but he's the director of Conclave. Gladiator 2, my God.
Now, why is
Gladiator,
that nomination?
it's an abomination, we should be saying. Hard Truths, there you go, Mike Lee. That could
Yeah.
be a good one. One of our favourites that we mentioned, the next one, is Rich Pepiat's Kneecap. Next one after that, we have Lee, which is the one with Kate Winslet. And then we have Rose Glass's Love Lies Bleeding. And then we have Forgive Me. It's a German name, and it's Nora Thingscheid with the Outrun. And then we have Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most. Any that might stand out for you, might win it. So if you want to mention some of the films about them, go ahead. You're most welcome.
Well, Conclave is naturally going to do well, so it might,
Yeah,
it's in all the major categories, so it could win. However, outstanding British film can also shine a light on smaller um indie films. I think The Outrun could do quite well because it got really positive reviews. It's sort of like the momentum died down a little bit, I think, from then.
yeah.
But I really like Kneecap, but I don't understand, and this might be me being stupid. How can it be nominated in Outstanding British Film and non-English language film? I just feel like that's a bit of a contradiction there.
They did that last year, remember?
They
And
did that last year, and last year it pissed me off as well because I don't understand. Like, pick one. I mean, the film is great, and I'm happy that it's getting recognition, but I just pick one.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, Kneecap's brilliant. As I said, it's a lot of digs into the Irish political side of things, from the Catholic and the Protestant side of things, and it makes fun of both of them. It just has a laugh at that. That's probably a good one. Hard Truth, we've just listened to everything I'm saying. People are telling me about it and listening to reviews. It's got a good chance to win Best British Film.
Yeah.
If Conclave doesn't do it on the best film, I think it's a good chance it'll win the outstanding British film. I
So,
haven't, yeah, I haven't seen The Outrun. I haven't seen Wallace and Gromit Most Foul. Liked Lee, and I know you liked Lee, but I think I liked it just slightly better than you. I can't remember. The review is on the podcast. Gladiator 2, absolute rubbish. Blitz, I haven't seen, which has Sacha Ronan in it, or I haven't seen Bird, Andrea Arnold. Anyway, so that's it, standing British film. I am going for Conclave. What about yourself?
yeah, me too.
Okay, let's go back to the Oscars. And let's do Best Actor. So in the
Yeah,
Oscars, we have Adrian Brody for The Brutalist, Timothy Chalamet for A Complete Unknown, Coleman Domingo for Sing Sing, an actor who should be getting more praise. For
100%.
Yeah, Ray Fiennes for Conclave, and Sebastian Stan for Apprentice, which is going to be a bit controversial being in America, even though he is the president of America. We don't really like it, but he is the president. And I'm sure the Great Orange Man will actually let people know his thoughts if Sebastian Stan actually does win it. Over at the BAFTAs, let's just see the best actors. There we go. Apologies because the list goes up and down. We have Adrian Brody, Coleman Domingo, Timothy Chalamet, Ralph Fiennes, Hugh Grant for The Heretic, and Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice. I'm quite surprised Hugh Grant for The Heretic.
Me too.
He was absolutely brilliant in it. It is a very good film. It actually he wrote it down as a psychological thriller horror. People still call it a horror. It's a very intelligent horror. It shows people who horror wise that horror's not all the monsters don't always have to be big scary monsters like vampires and werewolves and all these abominations that they do in horror. Sebastian Stan, I don't get me wrong, he was good in The Apprentice, but who he's actually playing will probably go against him. Ray Fiennes, as ever, fantastic.
Yes.
Conclave, he was great. I haven't seen Sing Sing, but I've seen Coleman Domingo in a lot of things, and he's absolutely brilliant. I think he's an actor who deserves
He'll an
more
award.
praise. Yep. So there's a good chance he might even win it in this. Timothy Chalamet, yeah, he is very good as Bob Dylan, but is he that good to win that? Adrian Brody, it's down to The Brutalist. Is he going to win that? Well, it won the London Circle Film Critics, The Brutalist film, but I didn't win any other awards, so that might give you that. So, what about yourself, Clotilda? Out of the actors, what's your thoughts on the contenders?
There's a couple of surprises here. I'm quite happy with Sebastian Stan in the sense that I never thought he'd get nominated because of the political situation.
Yeah,
But he deserves it. I think, he's been great and he's been in two films this year that have were getting award attention with a different man as well. So
yeah,
I'm happy to see him recognized. He did, I think, a tremendous amount of work on portraying Donald Trump, and I think even though I don't think the film is fantastic, I think it's good. He's sort of like the, the good part, if that makes sense. The acting is really impressive in that film more than anything else. Do I think he will win? Probably not, because like you said, some people wouldn't be happy, and
yeah,
we know the Oscars especially are very political. I think they would vote for him if they want to make a big statement, but I just don't see that happening. I will be really, really happy for Coleman Domingo, but given the fact that I personally think he hasn't been recognized as much as he should have been in his career, I fear that this is not going to be a win for him unless they take that into consideration, which they might. But he's often overlooked unfairly, and I'm afraid this is also going to be the case. For me, it's between Ralph Fiennes and Adrian Brody, but like you said, Brody hasn't been winning as much as I thought he would.
yeah,
He, I'd be happy with Ralph Fiennes. I wouldn't be happy with Timothée Chalamet. I think with this lineup, he's probably my least favorite,
yeah,
even though he did. He's also like young. It's his second nomination. I think there's people here that are very much overdue the recognition, and this is something that the voting body takes into consideration. So I think we should as well.
yeah. Right. We'll do the supporting actors and actresses as we go down. So, well, what, ladies and gentlemen, folks, we're only going to do some of the main ones. There's a lot of the awards. We won't really get into details. We might mention an odd one, you know. So let's do Best Director. So at the Oscars, we've got Sean Baker for Anora, Brady Corbett for The Brutalist, James Mangold for Complete Unknown, Jacques Audiard for Amelia Perez, and then Coralie Fazaji. Apologies if I just destroyed her name there, for The Substance. Over to the BAFTAs for the directors. Let me just pull up. We've got Anora, Sean Baker, The Brutalist, Brady Corbet, Conclave for Edward Berger, June Part 2, Denis Villeneuve, Jacques Audiard again for Emile Perez, and The Substance for Colin Farage. So what's your thoughts on the nominees for the directors?
I mean, the first thing for me when I saw the nominees was thank God for the substance because it's the only reason why we don't have yet another exclusively male lineup for Best
Yeah,
Director. And I'm very happy to see that. Having that said, um, I, I mean, I've seen all the films. Um, I personally think Sean Baker is gonna win,
Yeah,
given how this is going. But then again, I would personally vote for Brady Corbett for the virtual list.
yeah,
It's it's hard. I think these are really good, strong films, except perhaps June Part Two. I wouldn't have nominated that. Um, but to be honest, I would be happy with like Anora can fly with the virtual list, even the substance. I
yeah,
think they all, in their own way, do quite interesting things. Even Amelia Perez, but that's never gonna win.
no,
They have sort of elements that distinguish them as directors. All of them are quite, have an established career, have an established style, especially maybe Sean Baker and Brady Corbett. They're also quite authorial in that. So I do think the majority of these nominees would deserve it, and I'm happy they're getting recognized.
yeah. Director wise, I'll just say it's amazing. Brady Corbet. This is his third film. I listened to him to an interview. Very intelligent. He's got a lot of talent. He's got a lot of take, and he was explaining all about his movie. And I thought this guy's quite smart. You know what he's talking about. So I've got a funny feeling it might be him. As we're probably going to say all the awards. I would love Edward Vega to win Conclave, but I was also like Corey Fargier to win for The Substance for the obvious reason being a horror fan. Emilio Perez, no, that's gone. That's gone, which is a shame because there's some bits in it. Zoe Zaldana is very good in it.
I think she's great.
Yeah. Honora, I think the Brutalist or the Nora are probably the two favourites. Conclave, I would say, is the outsider, maybe with Conor Faget. Let me see. On the other one, it's really the same. Yeah. So, yeah, that's
I think
probably who I'm going for both. Probably the Brutalist or Nora, probably on the Oscars and the BAFTAs, the other ones. So that's anything you want to say on the Oscar side of things? You think? What do you think the Oscar side it'll win? Which director?
I have a feeling they'll go with Anora because Sean Baker, I think it's his first nomination, but it does feel like he's finally getting his due. He hasn't been nominated for the Florida Project or his other films that were quite popular.
Yeah,
So the Oscar, the Academy does sort of like think career-wise, not just film, I think.
yeah,
And as you said, Brady Corbett is like relatively newish as a director, I think. So if that sways them in any way, then it would be in favor of Honora, I think.
yeah. I'm thinking of more than that, and maybe the Brutalist and the British, the BAFTAs, or maybe Conclave with Substance. So that's that one. So let's just flick through. Who do we have next? Let's do the film not in English language.
Yes.
All we imagine is As in Light, Amelia Perez, I'm Still Here. Kneecap, The Seed of the Sacred Pig is the BAFTAs. As in the Oscars, they call it the Best International Feature. You get I'm Still Here. The Girl with the Needle, Emile Perez. The Seed, the Sacred Pig, which is the German. And then there's a lot of animation, which I'm getting quite a few emails for, and the review is on the People's Movies. I think Robert done it. That is for Latvia. That is Flo. Best International Feature. I've only seen Emile Perez. As you know, I gave it 3 stars. I'm more into 2.5 stars now. Not to do with what's happened with the cast or anything. It's just more I think about it, I just don't like it. As in the film in the not English in the BAFTAs, I've really only seen Emile Perez and Kneecap. I would love Kneecap to get some success because it's very, very funny. But looking at this, there's a couple of films on here that one you've been talking about quite a lot, and there's another one. I remember you mentioning the best films podcast, The Sacred Pig. So what's your sort of thoughts on the Oscars and the BAFTAs of the best foreign film?
I've seen all of them except The Girl with the Needle. Uh, I had to say really strong selection this year.
Yeah,
The press we talked about. There's, I think, even if you consider just a short list, the 10 nominee short list, didn't like the nominees.
yeah,
This year, I think, has been extremely strong for non-English language films, and there's a lot more than these five, or yeah, five, but these are really, really strong. I personally really like the Seal of the Sacred Fig. It did quite well in Cannes, but I'm not sure for the BAFTAs. But I think for the Oscars, I would I would say that I'm Still Here has a really good chance because, like you said, it might pull a Parasite. Like it's nominated in more than one category, which is not frequent for non-English films, and clearly the Academy really likes it. So I would be really happy if it does. It certainly deserves. I
yeah,
also think Flop might do well because once again nominated in both this and the animation category. That's not very frequent. I think these both for
no,
the international feature film and for the best animation, the Oscars tend to keep them quite separate.
yeah,
And it's a beautiful movie that deserves all the attention it's getting. It's just again something very new, something very different in terms of style and narrative. So I think I'd be happy with a lot of these. If I had to bet, I would probably say I'm Still Here
yeah,
because really quite beloved. By the Academy, it's doing quite well commercially where it came out. Uh, yeah, I I mean I would love Kneecap to win as well. I think Kneecap might win the BAFTAs.
yeah,
Yeah, it's certainly something that sort of like might appeal more to the BAFTA voters than the Oscars, and it's a brilliant film. It's incredibly funny. I have not laughed in the cinema as much as I have with Kneecap in a very long time. So
yeah. There's a bit kneecap which I mentioned in the previous podcasts where one of the kneecap guys walks down an alleyway and there's people of a certain, let's just say July the 12th, they like to go out and walk and be very colourful. And there's one thing that the boy has in it. The guy for kneecap takes it and he says something. So if you like this sort of thing, you'll love that joke. But it's a bit political in that. They do it in a funny way, but yeah, it's very, very good. So yeah, kneecap potentially could be the big winner in the BAFTAs. However, BFI have been praising to the rafters All We Imagine Is Light. To that point, they are releasing that in home entertainment, which is about to be released. I think it comes out the Monday, the 3rd of March, which is obviously will be the day after the Oscars ceremony. So there's a good chance that could win that, because obviously the BAFTAs and BFI are sort of connected in a way. As in the Oscar, when I was listening to the review of The Seed of the Sacred Fig today, when I walk to work and walk back through work, I've got my headphones in, I'll listen to the podcast, and the review really praised that. He was telling the story of how the director getting arrested and things like that happening, and how he escaped and how he get the film over to Germany, I believe it was. Then get the film out, and the Oscar jurors love that sort of story. So there's a good chance that could be it, but there's also a good chance I'm Still Here. So let's see, what else should we do? What else should we do? Actually, let's actually do the best animated feature.
yeah,
So the Oscars, it's the Flow, it's Inside Out 2, Memoir of the Snail, which is coming out this weekend, which is the weekend of the 14th, which came out in the UK. Wallace and Gromit Adventures Most Foul, The Wild Robot, that is for the Oscars. For the BAFTAs, let me just get that down. Let's just scroll down. I believe they don't call it animation, or do they call it animation? Because they've got a
animated. Eh?
yeah, because they've got a family movie one up there as well. So they've got short animation. Let's go up. I think it's, let me just see. Yeah, they have it as children's and family films. So they have Low, they've got Kensuke's Kingdom, and Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul, and The Wild Robot. I think in the BAFTAs it's going to be Wallace and Gromit,
100%.
100%.
Yes,
As
I
British,
well,
yeah. The Wild Robot's good.
yeah,
The others I haven't actually seen, but when it comes to the British Awards, it's like an institution. The Wallace and Gromit. Over at the Oscars, that's a little bit different. Flo, I haven't seen it. Is Flo the one about the animals in the
yeah.
boat? Yep. That could be a little sneaky one. However, the Americans love Wallace and Gromit as well. But Memoir of a Snail, which you can get the review on the People's Movies. Frida Cooper reviewed it. That could be a little dark outside it. However, also they love their Disney movies, their Disney Pixar, Inside Out 2. Got a funny feeling that will sneak it for that. But I actually liked Wild Robot better and Inside Out 2, but they were equally good. What's your thoughts on both of the awards?
I think you're right. I'm 100% sure Wallace and Gromit is gonna win the BAFTAs. I mean, it has to. It's been nominated in other categories as well. It's like it's British. Like it's a British institution, like you said. For the Oscars, I'm not quite sure. I think the fact that Flo was nominated in two categories is a really good sign. Um, them.
Yeah,
I think with the Oscars, it always feels like Disney's gonna win. Like I don't know. I feel like every year there's brilliant nominees, and I'm not saying the Disney films aren't good, but they have such a machine behind them in terms of like promotion and marketing and award campaign that it sort of feels like the little guy is fighting like a big, you know, like the big people. And yeah, I think this year is quite exciting though, because it doesn't feel like Inside Out 2 is for sure gonna win. I think, like you said, Memoirs of a Snail did quite well. Wild Robot and Flow as well, and they do like Wallace and Gromit. It's hard. I feel like I would, yeah, maybe I would say Flow because like I said, it's also nominated in another category, which shows how much they like it because I think that's quite unusual.
yeah. It's quite an arty movie because I believe it's Curzon. It's releasing it here in the UK. I think it's next month. It's actually out,
Yeah,
or April. So I could like that. So yeah, as you said, it's very, very tough for both of them. I think the BAFTAs it's going to be Wallace and Gromit. The Oscars is really any of them can really win it. Any of them,
which
you
is
know them.
really exciting, I think.
Yeah, it is. Right. So let's have a quick look. Right. I think what we'll do is Best Supporting Actress. So I've got the Oscar one here, and it's Monica Barbaro for A Complete Unknown, Ariana Grande for Wicked, Felicity Jones for The Brutalist, Isabella Rossellini for Conclave, and Zoe Saldana for Amelia Perez. Over at the BAFTAs for the Best Supporting Actress. One moment, let's done this way. We have Selena Gomez for Amelia Perez, Ariana Grande for Wicked, Felicity Jones Brutalist, Jamie Lee Curtis for The Last Showgirl, Isabella Rossellini for Conclave, and Zoe Saldana for Amelia Perez. Well, count out Amelia Perez, unfortunately. Ariana Grande, Wicked. As you know what I'm thinking of Wicked. I haven't seen The Last Showgirl, which I believe is out on the 28th of February here in the UK. Jamie Lee Curtis. I know a lot of people who some reviews. The People's Movies review is actually out on the website, so go and have a look if you want to see that because there's previews out now, I believe. A lot of people are praising Jamie Lee Curtis. Who a lot of people are saying Dave Bautista is one of the best things about the movie. This could be the one where, even though I said Emil Perez, BAFTA, Zoe Saldana she has already won. Good chance she could be that. However, Felicity Jones, her part, it's quite a hard part because I'm not going to spoil it because it's still in the cinema. When we first actually hear Felicity Jones, it's through letters, but when we do meet her, when Laszlo meets up with His wife, played by Felicity Jones, she's something about her. I won't say much about that. That's quite hard. And the Oscars, I would love Isabella Rossellini to win it because I think she's one of the unsung good things about Conclave. I think it's a bit of a pivotal part of the film because it's the bit where she says, "I am the lead sister of the nuns, and God created us, but in the eyes of the church, we are meant to be silent." That's quite a pivotal part to sort of show the role of women through the Catholic Church. It's really a hard one, that. Monica Barbaro, did she play Joan Baez?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. She was not bad. She's not bad. Didn't really sound like Joan Baez. It's really hard, that one. It's going to be Felicity Jones, Isabella Rossellini, or Zoe Saldana, and both of them. What about yourself?
I think, I mean, it's hard. I think what's tricky about this category is that people like Ariana Grande and Zoe Saldana have really are more like co-protagonists than supporting, I would think. But if you think about like how much they're in the movie compared to Casey Jones, Isabella Rossellini, Monica Barbaro, like it's really hard to compare the two because I personally think they're almost leads rather than supporting. So it feels quite unfair and also really hard to compare. I think Zoe Saldana is brilliant in Emilia Perez, but like we said, Emilia Perez chances have kind of gone down the drain. I
Yeah,
do think what I mean, I don't think she out of all the nominees she deserves it the most, but Ariana Grande has been winning left and right, and it's very likely, I think, now with everything that's happening with Emilia Perez that she'll win an Oscar. I think it's either her or Isabella Rossellini. Like you said, she's been winning a couple of American awards, so that's looking relatively good for her. Um, yeah, I think it's the same for the BAFTAs, really. I don't see Jamie Lee Curtis winning. The Last Showgirl is a good film, but for me, that's not the performance that stood out, although she's good.
yeah,
So the BAFTAs have voted before, so Chloe Saldana might still have a chance before this whole controversy. But I think I would guess Isabella Rossellini for the BAFTAs.
yeah,
I think Conclave might pull a sort of like win across multiple categories because it's a great film and because it's a British film as
yeah.
well.
Right, so let's do supporting actor. I'm on the BAFTAs at the moment. You get Yura Borisov in Anora, Kieran Culkin in A Real Pain, Clarence Macklin in Sing Sing, Edward Norton in The Complete Unknown, Guy Pearce in The Brutalist, Jeremy Strong in The Apprentice. Over at the Oscars, it's Yura Borisov again for Anora, Kieran Culkin for A Real Pain, Edward Norton for A Complete Unknown, Guy Pearce for The Brutalist, and Jeremy Strong for The Apprentice. So on the Oscars, I think the best thing in A Complete Unknown is actually Edward Norton.
Yeah, he's great.
He's that's probably the best film I've seen him in. He really captures the character. From when we first meet him, he's getting is it the song that he sang, which was a proper song, proper normal song. He was in court. He was getting done for court. Was it profanity or something like that? The tone of the language of the song. So he's very, very good in that. Yuri Borislav, was he the one of the two guys that came in with the Belarusian guys? It went looking for.
Or
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. The one that Mikey, no, Anora starts to
yeah.
like. Yeah, could be a wee underdog there. A lot of people are praising Kieran Culkin in A Real Pain. I can't comment on it because I haven't seen it, and unfortunately, it's not in the cinemas anymore. Guy Pearce, he's very good in The Brutalist. I don't want to say schizophrenic. It's not a word to use it because his Tony's character changes quite a lot. Because there's at one point when he's a power hungry guy, and you can see that, and he loves power. And even though he gets Laszlo to do all this work for him. You can see he's jealous of the talent that Laszlo Tough is, and he wants him under his power. And you can see how the way he reacts for him. And as I said, there's a certain event that happens near the end of the film. It starts to tie up when he's telling Laszlo his story, why he split up with his wife. You know the part I'm talking about. Jeremy Strong, he's probably the best thing in The Apprentice because he's playing a real nasty character. His character was someone, go back to the McCarthy witch hunt days, he was one of his henchmen, so political wise, he was on the same level as Donald Trump, and it really captures that character. And when something happens to him, when he starts to get really ill, you get to see the character of Trump, So, Oscar wise, I actually think it's maybe between Edward Norton, maybe Guy Pearce, with Kieran Culkin as the outsider. On BAFTAs, it's either going to be Guy Pearce or Edward Norton. Guy Pearce is because obviously he was Neighbours for years. Neighbours for years was on in British telly, so he's quite even though he's Australian, I think he actually does live in the UK. Don't quote me, mate, no. So this is sort of like an adopted country for him. What about yourself for the supporting actors?
Yeah, this is one of the ones that I feel like I still like encore, like where I'm not sure at all. I
Yeah,
would like to see Morrison win. I think he's great in Nora. I don't think he will.
yeah,
I think is probably between Edward Norton and Guy Pearce for both of them. I think it's gonna be interesting to say because then it's gonna might influence the Oscars. I think Kieran Culkin might have a chance because he's won a couple of things, including the Golden Globes.
yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah, I think Edward Norton might because, like you said, I also think he's one of like the best things in
Yeah,
A Complete Unknown.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I think supporting actor is quite tricky this year. They're all really good. I haven't seen a real thing, but other than that, like they're really, really strong. But The Apprentice is very controversial. Sing Sing, and it's just I think it's just not. It hasn't campaigned quite as much, unfortunately. And I just don't really see Hero Borisov win again. He's not as much influence the campaign as like Sean Baker or Matthew Madison. But yeah, it's quite exciting. Because I really can't really guess this one, but I think you might be right.
Did you know? I listened to an interview with Jesse Eisenberg. Do you know Jesse Eisenberg never saw any Kieran Culkin's films?
Did I know that?
No, he didn't know it. He didn't. What it was Jesse Eisenberg's sister. The story was Jesse went up to pick his kids up, his sister, and he obviously started talking about the film, and she says, Kieran Culkin, get him. Kieran Culkin's actually backed it up himself and said, yeah, he's not seen any film. I found that amazing. So that was all on a whim, as someone telling him, go and see it. He's the man you've got to get. I love it. I love all these little things. Absolutely amazing. Right, we're sort of done the majority of the main awards.
Yeah.
We'll quickly go over a few of the other ones, just really to say about the films. So, let me just see. Let's do cinematography. We've got The Brutalist, that's Law Crawley. Conclave, which is Stefan Fontaine. Greg Fraser for June Part 2. Paul Guilherme for Emilio Perez. And Jaron Blaska for Nosferatu. That is the BAFTAs. Cinematography over at the Oscars. 1 second. Let me see. Is The Brutalist, June Part 2, Emilio Perez, Maria, and Nosferatu. I'll let you say your thoughts. Just say an odd thing what you think. If you just wanted to say which movie and maybe a word or two on it, why in both of them.
Um, the Brutalist, I think. I think it's like the cinematography in the Brutalist is so impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just something else, really. I think personally, compared to the others. I do have to say, for the Oscars, I'm extremely glad to see Maria because it feels like everybody forgot that Maria is a great movie.
Yeah.
Um, and I do think it deserves some recognition. I don't think it's gonna win. For the BAFTAs, perhaps Conclave. I think Conclave has a brilliant cinematography. It would be well deserved. I think it's between those two.
Yeah. Yeah. Oscar wise, yeah, the Brutalist looks good. June Part 1 actually won the cinematography.
Really?
So, yeah, I believe it did. Don't quote me. Apologies if I got it wrong. It has won awards. Maybe it was the BAFTAs that won it for. So it's got an outside chance. And people are going to say Nosferatu. It was a lot of green blue screen in it, but it did capture the coldness and the darkness of the area and the towns the film is set in. So I think the Brutalist for the Oscars. BAFTA wise, ooh, it's either going to be Brutalist or Conclave in that one. Yeah, basically the same. It's one of the things that Brutalist, and obviously the Brutalist, what they did with that was the already 35mm, the 7mm you've seen, the few other versions IMAX. That's
Yeah.
that is an impressive thing for a third film feature for which is
And
still a novice director, you know. But if he starts winning awards, he's going to get more. I believe the Brutalist was made in $10 million,
yeah,
which is about £7.5 million.
just
He's
like
going to
what it is.
yeah. So he's going to get $50 million if he starts winning these. He's
Mm.
going to get a bigger budget, you know. So let's have a little quick look. Let's just see any other ones. Let's actually look at the music, and it's quite surprising. There's a couple of actresses that we've talked about who are musicals. Original score on the Oscars is The Brutalist, Conclave, Emilio Perez, Nosferatu, The Wild Robot. No, sorry, that was the BAFTAs. Over at the Oscars, let me have a look. Do we actually have one for the Oscars? Let me just see.
Yeah, it's pretty much the
Yeah,
same.
best sound. They call it best sound. A complete unknown. June Part 2. Emilio Perez. Wicked. There you go. It has got a mention in the Wild Robot. Best sound. It could be Wicked. This is where Wicked could do it. Oh, sorry, it's above it. Yeah, I think Wicked might do the best. Could do the best sound. However, things like June. This is where June, with all this sort of technology and that, could actually do well. My apologies
I think
there.
so.
Yeah, the best original score is The Brutalist, Conclave, Emile Perez, Wicked, and Wild Robot. It could be Wicked. It could be Wicked.
Yeah, it could be all the Brutalist, I think.
Yeah, because it's the thing about The Brutalist, it's very catchy.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Like
very catchy,
your
you
head.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think he's really liking Wicked, so those kind of like technical categories for a musical, they might go for it.
yeah. As in the BAFTAs, probably the same too. Probably the same Brutalist. Brutalist and that. Actually, because we did best sound there, in the BAFTAs, it's Blitz, June Part 2, Gladiator 2, The Substance, and Wicked. It's different. Right, let's have a little look to see if there's any other films there. What about the Rising Star in the BAFTA? It's Marissa Abela, Jerome, David Johnson, Mikey Madsen, Naban Rizwan. Any of them stand out for you?
Not really. I
No.
think the nominee is the sort of like most not famous, but the one that we've heard the most in this our conversation with Matthew Madison.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think like it's also publicly voted and everybody has seen Honora, compared
Yeah.
to the other films that I think are quite smaller. Just it's a matter of like how many, we watch a lot of films, but the most
Yeah.
people don't. So I do think it's gonna be Matthew And she deserves
Yeah. Obviously, David Johnson, he was the cyborg in the Alien film that came out. Gerald Jerome, I don't know, I can't remember what film. Marissa Bella was in Back to Black. Was it Back to Black? Yeah,
it.
yeah, that was her. Do you know, she didn't necessarily look like her. Did she sound like her? I really don't know. I really don't know. And I think we'll wrap it up there, folks, because I think we've been doing it for a very, very long. Yep, we're on. This is before I've done editing. We're on about an hour and 20 minutes, so I think we will wrap it up there. So there you have it, folks. That is our look at the Oscars and the BAFTAs. The BAFTAs will be on BBC on the 16th of February. The Oscars will be on the 2nd of March, but it'll be the 3rd of March here in the UK. And if I remember rightly, they're now on ITV. And that's your wrap, folks. That was your episode 41 of the Chronicle. Thank you very much for joining me and obviously joining Clotilde. Some of the films are not actually out in the UK cinemas. As I mentioned earlier on, we have reviewed a lot of the films on the podcast. I'll leave the links below for them. There'll also be some reviews actually on the website at the People's Movies. Clotilde, thank you very much for joining us. You like to tell the people where they can actually find you on social media?
Yes, so I'm on Instagram at the person being Chloe. I'm on Twitter, rarely, but I am, and Letterboxd at Friends with Chloe.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. As for ourselves, we're on Blue Sky at the People's Movies. We're on Facebook and Twitter at the People's Movie. Instagram at the People's Movies. We're on YouTube, where you will find episodes of the Chronicle up there from, I guess, episode 30 onwards. You'll find them on YouTube at the People's Movies 1. We do continue to chat at the Chronicle Take 2. Stay tuned for on social media and People's Movies for future episodes. What I will tell you, folks, is we have recorded a Take 2 episode, which will come out a few days after this episode, and it's for Bridget Jones, Mad About the Boy, so listen out for that. But for future Take Twos and obviously future episodes of the the Chronicle, why not sign up for our email newsletter, which you'll find a link over at the website. And obviously, we are a small website, a small podcast, and one way you can show your support is buy me a coffee. You will find a link over at the People's Movie. Obviously, it's also sharing the podcast on social media with your friends and family. And if you are listening to this on one of the popular podcast websites, please do give us a rating. As I said, we are a small website podcast, and you going on there and voting for us, sharing it will help us a lot. As in some of those podcast websites we're on, Podbean is our main one, and there's actual links at the top of that page. It'll take you to their sites you were on, things like YouTube, as I mentioned, Podchaser, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Music, to name a few. Other than that, thank you very much, Clotilde, for joining us, and thank you very much to yous, and enjoy the movies.